What's up guys, my name is Robin and I make stuff, and today we're painting a very loose watercolor landscape. Like this. Oh, like this. We are going to let the watercolor paint itself, and it will, you just have to let it. That's one of the hardest things to do. We want to control, control, control. If you do that, you miss a lot of great opportunities for the water to do some amazing things with the watercolor. So that's what this piece of artwork is all about today, and I hope that you have a really good time painting it. If you do, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you have not already. I love hanging out with you. Let's stop talking and let's start painting. What we're doing is using this photograph as inspiration. I'm not going to paint every single thing you see. I want to make a suggestion so that from far away it looks something like this, and you can say, oh, there's some trees back there, kind of wintry. We have this movement that comes through the back of the scene, into the middle, into the front. We're going to use our flat brush and kind of create some nice movement. What we are not doing is painting in every freaking blade of grass. That would just be ridiculous, not doing that. But I do want this movement to happen and for it to feel wintry, like the winter sky and this hazy kind of vibe in the back. So a lot of wet on wet. The first thing we need to do is create a drawing or a guide, and the horizon line is that line in the back where you see the trees kind of meet the ice and the snow. And once we put that guide on here, then I'm going to essentially wet the whole entire paper, starting with the horizon line and above that into the sky. I want to wet that from left to right, and then some select areas. It might be hard to see, but I kind of drew in those basic shapes where the grass is that I'm wetting here on the left and then wetting here on the right. And that's really all I need to put in there for the water, maybe a little bit below the horizon, but I want to leave some dry areas. That way, when I get this burnt sienna, I can come here on the bottom of where it was wet, and some of it will hit the dry paper, and then some of it will hit the wet paper and kind of soften up into that area. So I've got that burnt sienna, then I get a little bit of ultramarine blue. This is really like a two-color painting. It wasn't my intention, but that's what it ended up being. And so I just kind of dabbed some paint in there where the tree horizon line is. I'm going to do the same thing down here for my grasses. Burnt sienna along the bottom, and then mixing up a little of ultramarine blue and some burnt sienna for kind of that bluish gray, just to start to anchor this grass section, both of these grass sections, into my painting. And you can see I'm using this flat brush because it creates these really nice horizontal lines, leaving some of the area unpainted. And that will just sort of lend itself to that freezing reflective surface of maybe this frozen lake. Then with some burnt sienna, I am doing these upward motions into my wet area. When you're putting all of this in, this does not have to be perfect. We are going to do the grasses and the detail at the very, very end. Right now, we're going to get our little spray bottle and we're going to spray everything, tilting our paper and letting the paint run. If you are someone who is prone to anxiety, I'm sorry. This is very anxiety driven, stressful for a lot of people, and feeling like I just put all this stuff in here so perfect. It wasn't meant to be perfect. At the very end, we're going to bring it all together. But what this little spray bottle does is it puts little beads of water and allows that paint to kind of move through and create some really interesting trails and textures. So right now, I am tipping my board vertical, letting that paint run. I'm going to just speed up this process so you can kind of see what it's doing. And then we're going to tip the board horizontal and let it run off to the right. That will create a little bit of that suggested perspective movement that we want, kind of going horizontal, zigzagging back and forth across the paper at the very end with this water runoff. Get some ultramarine blue and burnt sienna together, make a nice gray, and we're going to put that in here for our tree line. It's going to start off thick on the right and gradually get smaller. I'm going to start with my flat brush and do these upward strokes, gradually getting shorter and shorter and shorter. You should have sprayed that area with water, so it's still wet and soft, and this color is just going to soften in there even more and just do this really cool stuff, as long as you don't go back and touch it. So don't go back and touch it, just set it and forget it. And that's the way the tree line looks. Now I'm just going to set my paper down flat here, maybe a slight angle, but we want to put some sky in here. I'm going to get some of that same gray that I used for my trees, maybe a little more on the blue side, really water it down so it's thin, a little more translucent, and just do some wisps, some really quick wisps in the sky. Don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. Your sky should be wet, so it should soften up just a little bit. And that's pretty much it. Now don't go back and mess with it. All right, we have that grass section in the middle ground. I'm going to go in with some blue-gray and put some color down. And I'm using my flat brush to create these horizontal lines. Next, we want to do some of these sweeping, zigzagging movements that start to send this message of the perspective in which this stream or this water runoff is going. Let's talk about perspective for a second. This is our horizon line. What we want to do is say that this river disappears back here, and we're going to draw a line like this, and we're going to draw a line like this, very lightly. This river's kind of coming straight at us, but it's also winding down. We want to essentially, from this point here, create this angle, this zigzag angle. And I'm going to draw lines from one point where this line comes through to the next point where that line comes through. And that's going to help us start to establish the curves of this river just from simple lines meeting a point. They're vanishing into the distance, and they're also getting wider as they come towards us, and they're getting further and further apart as they come towards us also. So from here, I'm going to come over here like this, and then like this, and then like this, and like this. And I'm just drawing these kind of parallel lines. Kind of starts to give you an idea of what is going on. This looks a little bit like a river, and this is a very basic way of showing how this goes and trying to get the idea of these angles. So now if we turn this into more of a sweeping, rounding river instead of this weird geometric thing, we can say, okay, so this comes like this, and then maybe it comes like that, and then maybe it comes down like that. All right, so you can start to see, and this is a little bit not rounded enough, but that starts to be the angle where you want this stuff to happen. This would be your grass thing over here, and maybe your other grass would be down here on the really far on the bottom. Okay, and then we have that other piece of grass thing out here. Here's our tree line. By imagining these lines zigzagging like this and not going straight down, you start to have that compression of where this goes. And this could have even gone all the way over there and maybe not cut across till here. It doesn't necessarily matter. We're just trying to convey that we understand that this thing is getting smaller and smaller as it goes into the distance and wider as it gets towards us, and these slow sweeping lines. So now that we understand that, we can kind of put some suggestion of other angles of lines in here, just very loosely, filling in some color in the background. It's very light. Let's get some burnt sienna. That's a lot of burnt sienna. Okay, let's move some of that over to the side. That's just too much. And some ultramarine blue, and get a really nice dark color in here, and more horizontal lines. So trying to come back in now, because when we put that sprayed bottle water on there, it really softened everything up. One of the cool things you can do is put paint on each corner of your flat brush. So a little blue on one corner, a little brown on the other corner, and then you have options. You can pull it straight up. You can use just the corner, so you could just have blue on one corner or just brown on one corner, or whatever colors you're using in your painting. But that's kind of a fun way to mix it up and add variety. And then just more horizontal lines. Those horizontal lines are going to work wonders for setting this in the ground and kind of just creating that horizontal movement that we have with ground in general. Just putting more of these blue-brown mixtures in that dark gray mixture. Now, while we have this wet color in here, we can do some scratching. We can pull that color up and out. We can move that color across our paper. And for this painting, I'm just using a plastic palette knife. But notice I'm holding it very close to the tip and not the handle of the palette knife. I want to have control and being able to push it down on my paper and move that paint around. Using it here to move paint up and out and then sort of lightly towards the top, which gives the illusion of, blades of grass that are lighter, and then it creates that little outline of paint around it. So then darker paint, so lighter and darker. When you do scratching, you want to make sure that the paint is still wet, but that your paper isn't shiny. That's sort of the sweet spot. And you also want to make sure you have enough paint in there. If you have really light paint, you're not going to see much happen. So making sure you have enough paint and that it's not too wet on your paper. I'll do a little bit up here on this tree line and just kind of creating some nice lines, moving that paint around, which also creates some highlights or suggestion of highlights. Now we're going to use a rigger brush with that really dark color, and I like to lift up when I'm painting blades of grass. So I'm just going to suggest these various heights on these blades of grass, slightly different angles here and there, and you're going to have to load a rigger or a script liner brush frequently because there's literally only one bristle. I'm just kidding, it's not that little, but it feels like it because you constantly need to put paint back on your brush. There's just not enough bristles to hold a ton, but it creates really nice lines. It's got a long brush head, which is great for the flexibility. So creating those nice long blades of grass, some horizontal ones along the bottom of the base there, and you can kind of just scribble it in. Now we have all these little seed pods at the top of the grass. I'm just going to put a few in there. I do not need to put 500 seed pods on here. Less is more. So put the suggestion, the person who's looking at it will get the idea that there is grass here with some seed pods at the top of it, and there's a lot of it there. So it's not just like there's only 2 blades of grass if I put 2 blades of grass. No, we've put other colors in there. And so it makes a suggestion that there's a lot of grass in here. Don't be afraid to have some dry brush happening in there. That's also really great. Adds a little texture, a little variety. Just have fun with it. Don't overdo it. Some little sketchy dots here and there, some wiggles, some squiggles. All of that stuff works. If we're trying to be too perfect, then people are going to be able to see we were trying to be too perfect and then we screwed it up. Put some horizontal brush strokes along the bottom here. Some of that could be reflection just on the top of this glassy, icy lake. You can also put some blades of grass out in the distance, a little bit lighter in color, just add a little bit of water to your paint. Some kind of just coming up through the lake there, the frozen ice, outside of where you had painted the blobs of color. I also want to put a little bit of detail here in the back by these trees and then use my finger to just kind of smear it or soften it. That can have a very similar feeling to dry brush, especially if you have texture paper that you're using. This is just a cold press paper. And so, I put that paint on the paper and then with my finger, just smudge it a little bit so it's not as vibrant or not as heavy or dark in pigment. That is a good way to soften things up. Let's do some down by our grasses too. We'll put some blue down here. Blue is great when you have snow or ice because that's usually how the light reflects on snow. It tends to be a little cooler and bluer. So putting a little bit of that down in the front section and then just smearing it with my finger softens it up. All right, back to our flat brush. Get some blue-gray in here, and we're going to use this to put a little bit of darker color underneath where those grasses are. And then we can kind of clean off our brush a little bit and then pull that color. Make sure that you clean your brush off, dry it off so you're not depositing a bunch of water on your paper, and then just use the paint that you put down and pull from the top of the brush stroke that you had put on the paper. That will take the paint that's on there and move it to where you move your brush, essentially. Put this paint on my paper in this section, and then I clean my brush off, dry it off, it's a little damp, and then use it to pull that paint up. You kind of have a softer effect. It's a little bit wet, so that paint can soften into itself. And there you go. So that's what we've done there, and that's about all we really need to do with that middle range section of grasses. So then with some light blue, very translucent, a lot of water in there, we're going to just suggest more of this angle, putting some blues in here, the snow. And remember that sweeping low angle, that's really important. We don't want to do any up and down brush strokes, more sweeping low left to right. Less is more. Remember, you want it to have a lot of water in there so it doesn't feel too dark, too overwhelming. You want the darkest areas to be in the front of your painting and the lighter, softer areas to the back. And we're just about done here, just kind of putting in a few more blue lines that will just indicate more snow coloring. And then let's put some birds. So birds, I kind of do like a big bird would be like a check mark, and then you have a wing that kind of comes down, doesn't necessarily connect to the bird. And then maybe you have some smaller birds with like a very shallow M kind of vibe or shallow V. Not this McDonald's M. We're not doing that. So that check mark, and then a wing that comes down and almost connects but doesn't fully connect. And then as they get further away, a little lighter, a little smaller, shallow V, or the very beginning parts of that M. And as they're getting further away, they're kind of like just tiny dots. They're a flock maybe that came flying out of this tree line in the back. Doesn't have to be a million birds. It could be like 5. It could be 1. It could be none. And that's really about all there is to this painting. Trying not to overwork it, letting the watercolor paint itself. How do you think it turned out? Not too bad. Thanks for hanging in there. I will see you next time that I make stuff.